it's Friday afternoon. It's a sunny and warm day in Vancouver. And, but, you know, it's interesting. Day 59 it is of the challenge.
Time flies.
Pardon?
Time flies.
Time flies.
When you're having fun.
When you're having fun.
That's
Two-thirds
right.
of the way through. I have some comments about what I have noticed, but I'd like to begin by asking you, what have you noticed, Galina? Now, presumably you've been going at it heavier in your French.
I think I'm getting more familiar with the language,
Right.
even with grammar.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good book,
Mm-hmm.
grammar book, so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I just look through
Mm-hmm.
to have a general understanding about the language. And I noticed also that when you have a goal, when you have a specific time, you're more motivated. So
Okay.
it really motivates me
Good.
to stay on track.
Right. Okay, so you noticed more motivation. Mark?
Yeah, for sure. It was good for me to have a challenge like this to sort of force myself to make a point of spending time on my language. I did Italian, and I ended up doing it from scratch because I had never really done much Italian on Link. I'm really not a beginner in Italian, so but even having said that, I am surprised at how much I understand now, and not necessarily if people are speaking, 100% naturally and at native speed, or like if they're speaking to each other, they're speaking very quickly. Sometimes that can be harder to pick up, but when I read news articles, I mean, yeah, there's not that many words that I can't figure out at any rate, and probably because I've had done some Italian before. I mean, I lived there for 6 months, and I studied quite a bit of French, and a lot of words are similar to English for all those reasons. But even still, I guess I'm surprised at how much I understand when I.
That's
read
quite
and speak
an encouraging feeling when you suddenly get that feeling that you understand more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say with my Korean, because I've moved on to very difficult content now, which is this podcast about books and so forth. It's very difficult. It's like, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and more of it seems to kind of become clear, but I'm still struggling. But I know that it's that slow. I almost see it as, I think in a video I said it was like this, the water torture, but it isn't. It's like erosion. It's like I just know from experience that this letting it all wash over me gradually through erosion, certain forms are gonna, stand out more, and so it's just a gradual process. One thing I noticed is not in Korean but in Russian is how it always amazes me how certain things take a long time to stick. For example, in Russian, when you talk about, Canadians or Chinese, as in people, it's kanadze, right? Or kitaitse. Okay.
Right.
And I've always had trouble with that because for whatever reason, it's always mnoga something. So mnoga kitaitsev.
Right.
So I always, even though I know theoretically that it should be kitaitsev, I'm just talking about, not mnoga, I'm just saying Chinese people, kitaitsev. And so I've always had trouble. I always end up saying kitaitsev.
For those of us that don't understand any of the Russian, could you explain that?
It's just Chinese, okay? And so I kept on using the wrong ending. And for some reason, I'm listening to this thing on Russian, and they're talking about the rumbles in Donetsk there, and they're talking about eyewitnesses, очевидцы.
Yeah.
And
so
at that, it clicked. It just suddenly clicked. And it just suddenly realized, and now I will have no trouble saying kitaitse and kanadze and so forth. So it's just that things take time, and you never know when they're going to click in. And so you just have to continue. It's like the water torture. It just keeps coming at you, and slowly. And this stuff has started to accumulate in your brain, but you can't yet make use of it, and all of a sudden you will. And I had that experience a lot of time. And that's why, I say 90 days. I don't know what I'm going to achieve in 90 days. But I'm putting a lot of stuff in there that will be good for me even beyond the 90 days. And that's why I think this sort of 3 months fluency is I just don't believe in it, because you'll do some stuff in 3 months. And a lot of what you learn in 3 months, in fact, won't come out until later on. So you won't have that 3 months to fluency. That's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that was a bit of a revelation for me. By the way, speaking of 3 months to fluency, someone asked me to review Benny's book.
Right.
So I should say I'm not going to review Benny's book because I don't believe in, the title of the book is, anyone can achieve fluency in 3 months in any language. I don't believe that, not for a minute.
Now maybe.
However, let me just finish.
Yeah.
However, that's not to say that it isn't a worthwhile book, because the big thing is motivation. And Benny certainly knows a lot of things about language learning that we know maybe, and that a lot of people don't know. And he is very motivating. So it may very well be a very useful book to motivate people. But because I don't believe in the concept of 3 months to fluency, I'm not going to read the book just in order to write a negative, book review.
It may be though that he doesn't in fact say that in the book. It could be
It
a
says it
title.
on the cover.
I know, but you don't know what it says in the book. I'm just saying. I'm not,
Possible.
sometimes people say have a title and then in the book
This is
proceed
possible.
to
This is possible.
explain why in fact that's not the case.
Like when I used to sell encyclopedias. You've heard my encyclopedia line?
I have, but maybe refresh my memory.
Well, when I was 17, I used to sell encyclopedias door to door, Encyclopedia Britannica. And the line we were given, we had to say, as if you managed to get your foot in the door, that they let you in, which is a very small percentage. Mostly it's beat it. But the line was, if you could get a full set of Encyclopedia Britannica, 24 volumes, for free, would you be interested? And so here's this parent, whatever, oh yes? Okay, let me come in and explain. So then I go through my whole spiel, and we had to, for example, we had to pick up the book by one page and see how strong the paper is. I think you can do that to any book. But anyway, this was the thing, running through the whole thing. And then I would say, now of course, you must understand, we can't give you the encyclopedia for free. However, for less than you spend on cigarettes. But so, yeah, maybe Benny, that's his line, who knows.
What was the response when you did
They
that?
were, I wasn't kicked out immediately. But let's say their interest level dropped. So, no, to be fair to Benny, I am sure that it has a lot of motivating stuff in it, and a lot of very practical stuff about how to learn away from the classroom. So, to that extent, I'm sure people should certainly give it a look from my point of view. But I just feel, as I say, 90 days to concentrate, to get a lot of stuff in you, some of which is going to work for you in that 90-day period, and some of it is just going to come back to you and work for you later on. So therefore, one should never be discouraged that, I've been doing it for 60 days and I haven't mastered the language. What's wrong with me? No, if you keep doing it, you will get better. Mm-hmm. And there will be these Eureka moments like you were saying where all of a sudden you feel you understand so much of the Italian or the French.
Yeah, and for sure we are going to keep learning our languages after the 90-day challenge.
Exactly. Okay. Any other comments?
I don't think so.
Okay.